Agenda is Richard Mastria, request for abbreviated site plan. And I did not see a letter. Did you have a letter for?
Phone call. Got a phone call.
Don't we have to sign?
He was coming in just for an informal.
Oh, okay. So that is, he wants to continue that until the next meeting?
He's gonna call with the date.
Oh. So we have no action on that one. Second thing, 610, Mr. Harris, Bassett Knoll Estates.
Yes,
You can state your name for the record, please,
Nick Harris.
and what can we do for you?
Well, I'd like to discuss the available lots under the plan that was presented back in '08, referencing, last time I was at the board, you indicated that you didn't have any plans showing the number of lots that would be provided under the conventional subdivision plan. And at the time, I wasn't aware that this plan had already been submitted. I was told had been submitted to the board for approval. And I have correspondence to show that it had been submitted. Not that it had been approved, but it did have been submitted. And that it had tentatively been approved based on the information that this plan provided. I have since been informed by Mr. Gallagher that there are some questions regarding the layout of the lots and whether or not they conform to the current rules and regulations of the board.
Now, when was that plan done?
This plan was dated '08, this is '05, but it was revived in '08, I believe.
It was '05, revised in
Yeah, and then it
'08.
was submitted in '08. I have some
Now, in
correspondence.
three
referencing-
years, I mean, that has to be updated.
We don't have an '08 plan, all we have is the
No.
'05 plan, which is the plan showing the normal subdivision for the counts of lots.
I could probably give you some background on
We
it.
don't have an '08, and it didn't.
All right,
it didn't-
Before we do.
Okay, so you want us to look at this plan. Does this have the updated wetland line?
It has the updated wetland line based on the continuous wetland line that has been checked '09, and then it was continued to '012.
It has a valid wetland line.
It is a valid wetland line.
So is there, if we unroll this plan and we look at this plan, is there something from
Yeah.
'08 to today?
There's never actually, from what I found, any formal submission, which we'd have to have some sort of formal submission to generate that number of lots, and we'd have to have some sort of motion approving it, which I don't believe we ever did.
I don't believe you did either.
And
Well,
so,
I read in the minutes from the last time. you know.
I mean, I have issues, but my memory's not that bad.
So,
But
okay,
so I looked at this,
Yeah.
and it has the current wetland line that's approved by conservation. The only issue is the number of lots generated by their engineer is invalid, because when we typically look at a cluster, we say, okay, what by right can you get, and what's reasonable? So, you have to take out areas for drainage basins and all this other stuff, which wasn't really eliminated, and the lots have a requirement of 40,000 square feet with 32,000 square feet of upland. A lot of the lots didn't have that requirement. And
Still on this plan?
And actually, the plan, some may, but it didn't, they just said square footage for the lots, and they didn't actually have square footage of the upland. So you couldn't,
Let's open that up. Let's just take a quick peek while
They're here, so we don't send them away again with,
and I mean, I could,
Could I just add something to,
This is,
please.
I'm all shoot the landowner,
Yeah,
and I had, we had prepared a 45-page preliminary plan. And rather than submit it for the preliminary plan, I had an engineering budget I was paying for both my engineer and the town's engineer to review. So they had, there was a lot of review back and forth, and we originally had a 74-lot plan.
and when was this?
It was in '08, in the preliminaries, before, it was coordinated with Richard McCarthy, who is now in Dedham, and I forget the town's engineer's name.
Yeah,
but what happened is they're not the board,
Oh.
so you had a lot of discussion with them in Richard's office, which doesn't relate to any motion by any of us
And
to
you wouldn't have
approve
even
anything.
had our town engineer reviewing the plan without
filing something because
did
he's gonna wanna get paid.
You were paid.
You
We
were
have
paid.
canceled checks here to prove it.
The
I was-
town, so we were paid for the filing.
Yeah.
8,600 plus another 7,000, total about $15,000 is paid for reviews.
And how much of that,
I think there's $1,800 left in the account.
Yeah, that would have been from the preliminary submittal.
Correct.
The open
Yeah.
space.
Right, that's
Right.
what we're talking about.
But that one, I believe, fell by the wayside because
Now,
of
that never got followed up,
Yeah, it
and
never was
never
followed
could,
up
we
on.
never
The point we're
voted
trying to
on,
make
never.
is that somebody reviewed it for the,
they
Right.
reviewed the
but just,
preliminary.
right, but you keep going back to
But can I back-
2008. You keep going back to 2008 and somebody reviewed it. This is 2012, and like we said last time, we need things current. Just because somebody reviewed it in 2008, that doesn't mean that we're just gonna say, okay, let's look at it
no,
and
no,
see.
I appreciate, and I can
approve.
understand that, but.
So with that said, you may
And
finish what you're gonna say.
So the preliminary plan was, to save money on the definitive process, I paid for both the town's engineer and my engineer to create the preliminary plan. At the time, no cluster had been submitted, so it was the first cluster submitted in Raynham. And I believe you were at the meeting, so.
I'm sure I was. I've been here 10
So-
years, so I'm sure it's been.
If I might, just to put this preliminary 2005, 2008 thing to bed, if you submitted a preliminary and didn't follow it up with a definitive in 7 months, it means nothing. You have 7 months to follow up a preliminary with a definitive by Mass General Law and subdivision control, and you didn't. So all that's moot at this point.
All right.
So where we are is today you have a subdivision layout, you have a valid wetland line, and you want to determine your number of lots before you go into your definitive plan, which, you know, I mean, your engineers drew up a definitive plan, I have no idea why, without having an actual motion and getting a thing, but that's beside the point too. So right now, what you have, you actually don't even have anything in front of us, we're just here for discussion, because nothing's been filed.
Correct.
So you have a plan that you're gonna present at some point and ask for that number of lots, if you in fact come back in with your definitive cluster. And I'm just saying, for discussion, I looked at this plan with Marilyn, and I'm very familiar with this. I worked on this land with Jerry Kelleher, and these are copies of my plans that I did 30 years ago, whatever. The wetland line I looked at was a reasonable wetland line. It pretty much was close in agreement with what we had way back then, and there's some changes in it, which were actually not to your benefit. Then you have your number of lots here, you're showing 64, where I'm seeing lots that I know don't have the upland requirement because of the wetland line. And also, there was some lots that you're counting that were drainage basins. So when we do our by right plan, we say, what can you reasonably get? So you get your number of lots, but you gotta take out areas that would normally be used for drainage lots. And so, without engineering, you know, the thing, fine-tune engineering on it, you can do reasonable assumptions to what your drainage would be. So you could take what was done before and, you know, the rules have changed, so it's gonna increase, and then you'd come up with your number of lots, so.
These lots will come up.
meeting? We said the same exact thing.
Yeah, pretty much, and so you have to,
I'm really not
The difference was, when he came back and spoke to me, I had missed the meeting because of my problem with
Yeah.
my mother. And I said, that's already been done, Nick. And-
yeah, he
and
didn't
to
have
my-
the wetland line, and you
So
were
I would have
missing all
been,
that.
I would have said the last thing, no, that was done, and what I was unaware was that the planning board hadn't, my engineer and the town's engineer had agreed on this number of lots. It went from 74 to 70, and that was the 10% plus. So they had agreed on 64, and at one time it was 68. So
But what he agreed on doesn't
Yeah.
really mean
So
anything.
what he's saying is, it doesn't
It's
matter
ancient history.
for two reasons. We didn't follow up within 7 months of the definitive plan, and secondly, he doesn't agree. So I guess we'll go back, the wetland line is good, we'll see what we can fit with the 30,000 square lots. And
Are you still working with this engineer?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
think
could,
the best thing to do is, if he has all the work done.
Yeah.
So, like Chris said, if some of those lots are not gonna pass, don't put them on the plan.
He was supposed to be here this evening, unfortunately, he had another meeting he had to attend.
Okay, so, do you understand what I'm saying? If
Absolutely.
this, because we're gonna look at it, and Chris is an engineer, so we look at him and say, is this, does this have enough uplands? And if he's looking at it and does a quick calculation, without calculations on the plan, if it says, I don't think it's gonna have enough upland, then we're not gonna say that it's a lot. So we can avoid all that, just like I said at the last meeting, was the law is very clear. It's really simple on what you need to do, bring us a plan showing what you can actually go out there and build. And we said, you don't have to go through all the drainage, you don't have to go through all of this expense, unless we determine that we need more information on that plan that you present to us to make a determination on how many lots that we feel legitimately, without building bridges, that you can put in the subdivision. So you do that, it's really simple. We look at each other, we make a determination, and then we go from there. Yes, Brooke?
We need more than a preliminary and less than a definitive.
Well, that's what that is. That shows everything on the plan, including drainage.
Well,
So-
that's in your cluster, not in your conventional.
Oh, okay. But you want the conventional shown as well?
No, what you have to do, and it's something you can reasonably do. You have your wetland line, you're showing lots. I can see a half dozen lots here that aren't buildable just by looking at this. And you have to, have your engineer, or, I'll even spend a little time with you, but sit down and reasonably figure what you have, because a lot of these lots you're counting as lots are drainage basins. You can't build, you just can't do it.
He doesn't understand the cluster plan or the conventional subdivision plan.
No, I understand that. I don't understand what he just said when he says, I want more than a preliminary but less than a definitive.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
For your conventional,
We,
you have to give us enough information that we can decide how many lots you have. And that a preliminary won't do it. But you don't have to do a full definitive. It's gonna be somewhere in the middle there. It's gotta be sufficient enough that we can count lots.
So just to clarify, if you get a plan indicating how much square footage of upland has each one of these lots, and they come up to hypothetically 55 lots, what more than that do you need?
You need to also take into account what areas would be
drainage.
reasonably used for drainage.
Right, including that.
It's not hard.
But you don't need to see the drainage.
No, you have to give
Profiles.
a reasonable assumption on how much area you use for drainage, knowing that I'm gonna go back at the old plan and see how much they used, and knowing you're gonna need at least 1.5 times
so
the
if you
area.
show you have a pond on the property and that's where you're gonna put your drainage, we're gonna say, well, is that gonna work?
Okay.
You gotta, it's really simple.
Yep.
It's one for one.
Got
If
it.
you can build a conventional 40,000 square foot residential lot, and you can show us without, pulling straws, that you can actually build that if you came in front of us with a conventional plan, then you get it. That's a lot. We
Oh,
don't
I
want,
understand that part of it.
okay, so all you do is show us a plan that shows the lots.
But unfortunately for me, when I had a conversation with the engineer who did this, and I had lunch with him to talk about it, and he indicated to me that this was approved by you people, i.e. the engineer who was,
But we told you last time it wasn't.
told me that, but I told him that, and he said, you're wrong, and they're wrong.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of fun with him.
I guess,
We'll get along real good at telling us,
I guess.
I guess he's a voting member.
So when will we be back?
Voting member.
I'll have a plan for you by the end of the week, next week.
It's simple.
Okay, so-
It is simple, so.
Then I suggest that
When's the next meeting?
you want to notify Maureen, and you are gonna come in for a determination for a cluster development. And that is what you're gonna be coming in for. A determination for number of lots for cluster development. And with that, we need the definitive, prove to us how many lots in a definitive plan, not the cluster, in a definitive plan. And that's it, that's all you gotta do.
And I'm gonna look at it myself and see what I get for a number.
Great, thanks,
Is
Chris.
that gonna be reviewed by the town engineer, not you, what we do?
I don't, you can, but I really don't. It's not a hard.
If
You
it's,
could, but he's gonna go,
August
he'll
16th?
overwork the living daylights out of it.
If-
I could come up with a number in under an hour.
if it is, if it's something that, we're not comfortable with, or we need additional information, then I think we.
No, I just wondered if we should get money on it.
They've never actually submitted anything. That's kind of the point, is they,
Well, and my other question, I'm part of the letting
All right, if all you people are here and the next meeting's gonna be this tough, I'm leaving.
well, but we'll talk about that.
Let's get out our rules and regs, and we're gonna make photocopies.
There's
Pass
nothing in
them
front
on.
of us, in effect.
Okay, next. We have 615, Richard Andrunas, roof drains at Whippo Willow. Whippoorwill Estates. Anybody here for that? Roof drains? Maureen?
I thought he was coming, it was tabled from the last meeting.
All right, well. Okay, 6:20, we're right on schedule. Form A, Broadway, Elm Street West. Step right up, state your name for the record.
Name's Eric Dias, professional engineer, principal partner with Tunis and Dias. There we go.
We're gonna give you an easel, and we're gonna ask you to
Is this it right here?
place that easel right,
Over here?
yeah, right there.
Fantastic.
And is anybody here for Form A that wants to see this plan? All right, and our cameraman can zoom right in on that, so everybody can see at home. Okay, again, I'm sorry, state your name for the record?
Name is Eric Dias, professional engineer, principal partner with Tunis and Dias Incorporated.
Okay.
Very simple Form A at the intersection of Elm and Broadway, right near the 495 overpass back here, the mobile station, Hess Station, and Christie's on the three corners. This was submitted a few weeks ago. I don't believe it made it to the board, but I know at the time that it was submitted, the town planner reviewed it and asked us to go ahead and delineate the wetlands. So we've done that. The goal here is to create two lots out of what we have. This one will be marked for commercial development. This one will be marked for residential. Based on the wetland delineation, since we last submitted, we shifted the property line a little bit to give us enough room to get a residential driveway through the buffer zone without it encroaching on the no-touch area. Aside from that, we meet all of our lot area requirements, all the upland requirements, and all the frontage requirements. That's really about the gist of it.
Okay, so before we get with any questions, we had, at the last meeting, we had voted to deny this because we were unsure of the time to act. At this time, I would like to make a motion that we rescind that denial because Maureen had mentioned that there was nothing filed with town clerk. So before we move on, I'd like to make a motion that that denial is rescinded.
So moved.
And that was done on July 19th. That was seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Chris?
Yeah, I said I.
Oh, okay, so, all right, so that's done. So you did file, we have your check, we have,
the money this time.
we have the money, we
That's
have
helpful.
the paperwork. Correct, is,
Paperwork is in order.
Chris, any,
No, it's, what was, this has two existing dwellings on the same lot?
No, this lot, oh, excuse me, I'll point up there. This lot was actually an interior property line. They're both under the same control, so that will be extinguished as part of this, and this will be the new property line.
do you have
Well, then there's still two houses on one lot. I'm confused.
There will be two houses on
You
one lot
got,
at
you
that
got two
point.
houses on one lot.
Yes. This one is abandoned, and they are, they obviously will be raised before we do go any further with this project.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't seem obvious by the plan, because it says existing dwelling.
Okay.
What, well,
We can certainly add some
Yeah.
notation to that effect.
yeah, I mean, it's, you have two lots
Mhm.
with two different houses. You're creating one lot with two houses and one lot with no houses.
Okay.
So I really don't think.
You really have
that's-
to have a,
You can't do that.
you're gonna, well, right.
You can't do that.
Is this something that would be as easy as notation to the plan, or is this something that we would have to go as far as demoing a house?
You could probably notate it on the plan.
Okay.
I mean, we'd probably, yeah, I mean, probably donate it. And who did this wetland delineation?
My office did.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. No, I thought the wetland was a lot more extensive on this lot. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I walked it for a few people years ago when they were looking at developing it.
Okay.
And it seemed to me the wetland was a lot more extensive in here, but maybe I'm wrong.
So if there's, they're eliminating that line, if there's gonna be two houses on one piece of property, and at what point, make it a notation on the plan to say that the house is gonna be demolished, period. Shouldn't there be something saying that he's not gonna get a building permit or apply for a building permit, or he can apply for a demo permit, but at that time, once the demo is done, so he doesn't have to come back in front of us, but at that point, it automatically, goes,
I mean, it in effect creates a lot that doesn't apply to zoning because it has two dwellings on it.
But we don't really make a determination
No.
that that's up to the
Yeah,
building.
we're more for
department.
frontage.
Right.
And if the wetland line's wrong, I guess that doesn't matter.
so
much
no
either.
matter what, once he goes to the building department, if he makes a note on it and it's not gone, then the building department's not gonna give him a permit?
We're just saying he's got adequate access on a safe to travel road.
But we're also approving the lot lines.
Yep.
Bylaw says you can't have two houses on one lot.
So that's a zoning issue.
Okay.
Well,
I would say-
obviously that's what they're gonna
Do you want
do.
to pencil on to be raised on
I
the
would say
plan?
to be raised.
To be
That's what I
raised,
see other
okay.
towns do.
That's the small one?
This one is adequate to be raised?
Yeah, so I'll put it on the Mylar and
Great.
you can write it on the paper copy. And that way at least we're covered.
Now, when you,
And I mean, if you're gonna do a project, you gotta go to,
This gets signed, gets recorded. You go to registry and find something like that, and the applicant passes away or, disappears for 4 years, like we've been seeing. Doesn't that cause like commotion? No? What do I know?
Because really, the Form A plan is to show lot lines.
Yeah, I understand that,
And to show
but
adequate access. That's really all it's meant to do.
yeah, frontage and access.
you're still gonna see.
Right.
That's why when you have a closing, you're always getting a phone call from the lawyer saying, we have some documents that need to be signed after the closing.
The problem you run into is you have a conveyance and the other guy has two houses on one lot. What do you do?
Okay, so, we're all set with the information that's on the plan now?
Yeah, if the board's fine with it to be raised.
And would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion, we endorse or approve a plan as approval under subdivision control law not required. Title, plan of land in Raynham, Mass, prepared for Charles Barnes. Latest revision, July 26, 2012, by Pilling Engineering Group.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. And we lost Maureen. I didn't even notice she was gone.
You said she would go home.
Okay, that was unanimous. All you need is one signature in Raynham,
Excellent.
so
Thank you all very much.
you were gonna have,
I gotcha.
3 copies with us, and I think,
We'll leave the 3 paper with you, we take them out.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Appreciate your time, thank you.
Okay, next we have Attorney Bentley, Form A for Raynham Sewer Commission.
Okay, just for the record, I'm the sewer superintendent, and Mr. Bentley is representing our department, so I'm not gonna participate in any of this stuff.
Very good.
I think Rich can
You
handle it
better do a
himself.
good job,
I'm not worried about that.
Okay, state your name for the record, please.
My name is Attorney Richard Bentley, I represent the Raynham Sewer.
Okay.
You want to put this one in? I actually have 3 separate plans today, on 3 separate properties. The first one is at Ruta. We're all for the latest phase in the sewer department, and they're all for pumping stations. They're all Form As.
That's why I have these municipal meetings certificates.
Okay.
I'm sure they've been reviewed by the sewer department, huh?
A couple of times.
Yeah.
No wetlands.
Straightforward.
It's just that it's gotta be signed by majority of the board.
It's got a big building back here now.
When was the plan date?
March.
And he still has adequate frontage?
Oh, yeah, that's huge. It's gonna be a fence, what's that, So this crosses with the lines, they put the fence around that? Those pump stations, don't they? Yeah, the ones they have mounted on that fences.
No. It's just a building.
All right. Now, you have, there's 3 of them in here, or there's 1?
That's one. That's the Aruda property, we'll call it.
You all set, Russ? Burke?
Also,
Make a motion that we approve the Form A. Planned property taken to be acquired for proposed North Church Street pumping station. Dated March 30th by Reed Land Surveying.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Did I say 3 of those? Put it on, I forgot. Now you see why we voted to have our clerk, Chris, sign all the plans.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't sign.
We used to sit here some nights with,
Yeah, if these are Form As, you might not be able to vote on it, but he can sign it.
all right, next.
It's upside down fire. This on Locust Street, Vitale's. San Andreas Pumping Station.
Yeah, that
It's right
one
there.
we have to disapprove because they owe taxes. Seriously, $33.
Well, keep signing.
We'll get Chris down
Tell him to bring his
there.
checkbook.
That's right. Bring it back with his check. Same thing, there's no wetlands issues. frontage.
They must have quite a tax bill. Big piece of property.
She's still here?
We have to deny this one. $83.58 taxes are due.
Oh,
We're not allowed to approve it.
that one's actually, this parcel that you're looking at, this long parcel B, the town owned. They designed a pump station to go there. A year or two after they designed it to go there, I don't know why, but the town sold the parcel to them, to the Vitalis. And now we're gonna buy it back, a little portion of it, and probably pay twice what we sold it for.
Well, that's still not like we're waiting to do the trash thing in time.
You know.
Okay, plenty of frontage. Is this,
Why do you have the?
yeah, I mean, if this piece,
We're only taking this parcel one.
right, but well, that gives them
How did
access.
Was there gonna be a road?
There was gonna be a road years ago, that was actually Pacheco land way back. And that was where Alexandra Drive is, but it would have entailed an extensive wetland crossing. So it never happened. But that was all part of the Frank and Evelyn Pacheco piece way back.
So it's, I'm sure that's gonna just be,
So it's just gonna add to their land.
another one, Russ, just like the one we just did. Any questions? Make a motion, we approve Form A plan dated April 15th by Reed Land Surveying, Inc., property taken to be acquired for proposed Locust Street Pump Station.
Second discussion.
Any discussion?
Yeah, let's do $33.
Okay.
Are you paying for this?
One way or another.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't wanna hear it from the tax collector that we approved something we shouldn't approve.
I'll talk to her.
Get her $33.
Then I guess if I add to my motion, revise my motion, but we'll approve it, we'll
Motion to
approve it and have,
amend the motion that somebody has to pay that $33 and make the tax collector happy.
motion was amended.
Yes.
Any discussion on the amended motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any more discussion on the first motion to approve the Form A?
No.
All in favor? Aye. Now that marker there?
Who gets what out of these?
We actually take 3, but I had some extras just so I could have some.
You just wanted us to do a lot of signing.
There's only, yeah, but 3 go to Maureen, 3 paper copies on each. And the rest stays with each.
Is this the first one that was approved?
Yeah, these are phase contract 2 and contract 3 sewers. Hill, Church, Dean, Locust, Johnson. Just put a shovel in the ground.
How's the next
What do
one?
you got?
Any money owed on the next one?
Big magic marker thing going down the whole side of your cheek.
Stick it in front of you, it's gonna give $30.
Yeah, is there any money owed?
Oh, no, the next one's fine.
Third parcel is the same, the pump station located on Dean Street. This is probably the lot.
On Dean Street, huh?
Yep. Chico.
See how it has the locusts for like, so it's nice and easy to find where you are,
It is, I was gonna say, I'm up out of Dean
so
Street.
the USGS.
Right up in the front corner. Let's just be all tie points, why they, on Form A, why do you have all these elevations on rebars on,
Those are just coordinates, like master grid coordinates, so when, if you had to recover those property lines, you could go to those rebars, even though they're off-site, they mathematically, they're X and Y coordinates.
What are
So
those
they
cat-
mathematically can be related
are those on
to-
top of a foundation though? What happens when the house gets built?
That's a rebar, that's along the side of the road. Drill holes, iron pipes, but it gives you X and Y coordinates. You could, some of the X's square of the Y's and whatever, you can determine the distance between them and their location relative to the lot lines.
Unlike what you had in the past? Unlike what's,
This stuff hasn't changed in hundreds and hundreds of years, it's just people have made it more complicated.
okay, all set? Anything else? Make a motion, we approve planned by Reed Land Surveyors, plan of property taken to be acquired for a proposed Dean Street pump station. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
And part of that, Dan, is Len Reed's kind of a very anal surveyor. And so
Yeah, well, it just seems, yeah,
He's a-
there's a lot of information on it for,
he's a real stickler on being able to retrace. He calls it, every survey to him, it's called a retracement survey, which is what they typically are. And so you've got to be able to retrace what you show.
oh, it only makes sense just for the next guy who's,
Yeah.
looking for information. Oop, wait a minute. Get a date.
People probably leave that off purposely, so
Quick.
they don't have to worry about the next guy.
Maureen's the one that has a date. She's the one who wants to get out of here. You're pushing me.
Okay.
That's what they can look at. Oh. Well, this year, trying to take his title back. End of August. Jeff Keller and them guys stepped in.
Thank you for that assistance.
Thank you.
Is everybody here for Berry Hill? All right. No?
Yes.
Well, it's Raynham Flea, right? What is it?
Carport.
Oh, carport?
Yeah, solar panels on top of it.
Excuse me, you're not supposed to be sitting on the board, so.
Oh, sorry.
So he's not on the board. They're trying to get us in trouble, we got rules to follow.
No, I knew somebody said something on that.
Find that bill?
No. I don't know what to do.
You sure I didn't take it home last time?
I'm pretty sure you didn't. We'll have to do it at the next meeting. I'll reprint it.
Is that the one?
The one that I, the one that I held.
I didn't take it back. I didn't have it. So I think you might have taken it.
Tough, can't even see my briefcase.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We'll just have to email us another one.
Oh, yeah, I can print it
Yeah,
myself.
no,
We'll do it
I
next
just
meeting.
figured it would be easier if we had it
Right.
here.
Yeah, we'll do it. It's all right.
Okay, next, Raynham Flea Market, site plan. Determination for abbreviated site plan. State your name for the record.
Craig Dutra from Monroe Distributing, here representing Monroe and Raynham Flea Market.
Do you have, why don't you, those are pretty.
Well, Lenny's gonna explain, Lenny, and then
Yeah, why don't we pass these, you guys can look at some pictures. You can look at the carport. Okay, state your name for the record.
Lyndon Campos, and we're looking to construct a 420-foot carport, 420-foot by 30-foot carport on Jeff Mann's flea market parking lot, on the rear parking lot of his site. And it will be sheathed with solar panels. Reason being, the structure cannot handle the structural load on his building, and he stressed that he does not want to lose one parking space. So, as it stands now, he has a permanent fence going through his parking lot, and the columns from the carport would replace the fence, and he would not lose any parking spaces whatsoever.
What's the fence showing? Is that where the permanent, where the existing fence is?
Exactly, it's an existing fence and it's permanent.
He has a fence in the middle of his parking lot?
He does. Yep.
this one shows underneath the carport. There's a permanent fence here, and inside this side of the fence is where all his vendors stay.
Yeah.
So there's no, traffic, and on the other side of the fence is parking. So basically, the poles for the structure will basically be replacing the fence, and then he's gonna put a fence there, so.
So what's actually happening is the vendors are getting some nice shade when they're out there all day, so.
What's he gonna do with the solar panels? Is that gonna,
It's gonna supply electric for his building.
For his building, yep.
It does like 90% of his electric bill.
wow,
It goes back to TMOP and then through the net metering law, the new net metering law from
Yeah.
TMOP. He'll provide most of his electric for the building.
I haven't thought about it, but how heavy are solar panels?
They weigh 42 pounds apiece.
And that's what size?
Approximately 38 inches by 64 inches. As you know, we got stamped drawings that'll handle the load, the wind load, what have you. Snow load, it's actually really overkill with a new design.
now, I really don't have a problem with the carport and the roof, the solar panels. My only concern is you're gonna be digging multiple trenches to get the power from this to the building, so what's gonna happen?
One trench.
What's gonna happen, is that gonna be parking lot, disturbing the parking lot? How is that gonna interfere with your existing business?
He only operates on weekends, and this will be all done. One trench will be done during the week. It won't even interfere with him at all.
Does he do both days on the weekends or just Sunday?
Both days.
Both days.
Both days.
In the summer, I think.
Yeah.
Both days. But the trench is actually going in the area where there's no traffic.
Right.
It's going just like where the vendors stay. The trench is
Okay,
going
so it's
from
gonna
there
go from where the vendors are to the building.
to the building, correct.
I think it's approximately about 100 feet, 110 feet, something like that.
So I guess at this point, it's in front of us for an abbreviated. Do we feel that this is an abbreviated site plan instead of sending it to, filing for the whole 9 yards and having it reviewed? And I mean, for a carport,
Yeah, building department looks at the structure.
yeah,
don't-
I would just be,
Create impervious drainage, nothing, it's,
Yeah. I would just say that we would like to see, where the trenches are gonna go and how they're gonna handle the replacing of the blacktop. If, I'd like to, all the inspections to be scheduled and done. Just so, again, I mean, that's the only thing that we're gonna be concerned about is the,
You say it's going into the
Paving.
building, and that's where the panels would be?
The panels are gonna be over the existing fence on top of the carport. In other words, there's not gonna be no metal sheathing on the carport.
I didn't
Oh,
know the solar.
you mean the power?
Power.
They're
What
gonna,
happened-
go ahead.
The power actually goes right back into TMLP's lines.
and I'm not sure if, and I apologize, did I get your name?
Craig Dutra, yes,
And you are with?
Monroe Distributing.
Okay.
So the power that he generates there, actually, we have an application in with TMLP, so they have to approve it, because they have to approve that amount of power to go back on their lines. So basically, everything that he's producing there goes back to TMLP's lines, and then TMLP gives him a credit for it.
Yeah, and all that stuff, that's fine. I guess what we're,
But the meter box, I'm not sure what you properly call it. I'm
Yeah,
just asking where that would be.
the inverters will be placed.
Inverters, that's it.
The inverters will be placed on the back side of the north side of the building, which is in conjunction with the carport. They'll be hidden, have some end pads out there.
Bollards.
Yeah, bollards, it'll all be, I mean, like I said, there's gonna be approximately an 18-inch wide trench going from the carport to the building, and that's it.
okay.
We have geotech report that's been calculated already for all the columns, the carport, like I said. Everything's
And all that, and again, our responsibility is mainly access, egress, parking lot. The building inspector
Actually-
will take care of all that other stuff. We're just, at this point, I guess we can make a motion to approve this to come back in front of us as an abbreviated site plan.
Actually, he's gonna gain some more access now, because there won't be a permanent fence, and these columns are spaced every 20 feet. If he had to drive through it, he could. Not that he's going to, he's gonna have vendors on the south side of the carport, and the north side will be parking as exists now. But he could actually, if he wanted to remove all the vendors, he could just drive through freely. We're talking 17 feet high.
Okay. Now, with this being in front of us, we're making a determination that it can come and be filed as abbreviated. So it looks like everything that, they already have everything done. So they're gonna have to file this, pay the abbreviated fee, and then put it on for the next hearing. Any other discussion, Chris?
No,
Anything else?
no, fine.
Russ?
It appears to be flat. You're not going to,
It's a
10-degree angle to the
It's about
south?
a two-pitch.
Okay, all right. That was
Which
my
is
only
something-
question.
I'm sorry. Which is something you really can't view,
Okay.
Okay, so, make a motion that Raynham Flea Market, carport with solar system, solar panels, he's able to file as an abbreviated site plan. Any other discussion on the abbreviated site plan approval to come back in front of us for abbreviated site plan? No? All in favor? Aye. So you can get the rules and regs on the abbreviated site plan, which I'm sure you probably already have. Just make sure on that plan you do show where your underground is gonna go.
absolutely.
And I would like to see a statement on the plan on how you're gonna, time frame between digging,
Gotcha.
inspections,
Absolutely.
having it repaved before all the people start coming back in for the.
That's the requirements. We can't leave
weekend.
it unpaved. It has to be done before he
Yeah,
operates.
I just wanna make sure it's on the plan, just so when it,
Understood.
and again, you know, because it's abbreviated, it doesn't go to our town engineer, we, you know, we'll look at it.
Yeah.
But it saves you the time and expense of going through that big thing.
Understandable.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
gentlemen.
good, thank you. Okay,
Excuse me, I just have one set.
Yes, yes, sure. I was gonna come back.
all right.
Okay.
Berry Hill,
No, is that what was submitted? Thank you.
welcome all. So everybody here's for Berry Hill. All right, before we get going, let's keep this civil, I guess would be the word I would use. And I would first like to explain to all of you, Raynham residents, what our position is and what our responsibilities are for Berry Hill. Just so we're not going back and forth. And so you understand, we're on the same side you're on. Unfortunately, you're in a worse situation than we are. Nobody's here from the bank?
It may have been made aware to the town planner.
Yes.
The trustees are on the away vacation. I'm here to, I'm their attorney, may recall from earlier hearings, to gather the information.
Okay.
I would just ask if there's any action to be taken, if it could perhaps be deferred to a follow-up hearing so the trustees could be here.
Yeah, and we're not gonna be taking any action tonight. Tonight was from information that we received. Do you have copies? Yeah? No, we do. I think all of
That's the
these,
attorney.
I have a few.
I think all of the residents should get a copy because they're
No,
part
is-
of,
Is the attorney, are you from this Harris Beach?
I haven't seen a copy of it.
no, what attorney, who do you represent?
Greg and Hallelujah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I talked to you before, thanks.
Yeah, so we have copies, a copy from the bond company
I have a few.
that we would like to share with
A few already.
all of you people, and that's why we invited you in, because it looks like we're in this together. Now, you have questions, please raise your hand. I will get to everybody, we'll answer every question. Doesn't matter how, whatever the question is. When Berry Hill came in front of the town for approval, we were very excited to see a 55 and older development come to Raynham. It was the first. A lot of the board members at that time, we went and visited a project in Easton that the same developers had done. Let me tell you, I wanted to move in. I thought that development in Easton was absolutely, fantastic. It was a really nice looking, they had the game rooms and the pool, and it was just really, really nice. So I was pretty excited as a Raynham, longtime Raynham resident, and I thought it was gonna be good for the town. When they came in front of the planning board, we reviewed the plans just like we do today for any subdivision that comes in front of us. The one different thing between Berry Hill and a traditional subdivision, this is a private community. And being a private community, it's not gonna be turned over to the town of Raynham. The streets are not the town of Raynham streets and never will be. And you people, as owners of that, as soon as you get a piece of property, you become a member of that association. And if you decide to put up gates, you put up gates. It has nothing to do with the rest of the people in town. We, as a planning board,
I don't know if my brother's still involved in this thing, if I should.
I think for discussion purposes, yeah, I think I'd rather have you listen because
Okay.
you're,
Just for the record, I was completely against this, but this development.
you're,
I didn't like I thought something like this could happen.
so, does anybody, what Chris is saying is his brother is an engineer also, and his brother did some work on the project. Does anybody have issues with Chris sitting on the board?
He designed it and worked with a developer. who
Okay, nobody has issues?
I wasn't a big fan of.
Okay, thank you. So, we looked at this as a regular subdivision, and we asked the developer to post a bond. And he went through the process. Our town council reviewed the bond, which he reviews all bonds. Everything was approved, and they started the development. The letter that you are going to get a copy of is from the bond company. And this has been like pulling teeth. Now, this developer had some other projects in town that went belly up also. And the same bond company is paying what the bond was to complete those subdivisions. And they've been up front, they've been doing everything that they say they're gonna do. We haven't had any issues at all. For Berry Hill, we received this letter stating that they are not going to give the bond to the town of Raynham to finish any structures or any road work, because this is not a town's property. If the town of Raynham was able to retrieve the funds in this bond, what we would do, we would transfer those funds over to your association for you to finish the road. It's not up to us. And I want to make this clear, the town of Raynham will not and will never go into Berry Hill to plow, to clean out catch basins, to weed whack, to do anything at all. That's not our responsibility. And I just want to make that clear, that from the beginning, unless the townspeople all of a sudden, I don't know how that would ever happen if it ever became a public way, but at this point, that's not our role or our responsibility. So, everybody get a copy of this letter, and basically the letter says that they're putting the responsibility onto the largest landowner, which is the bank, who foreclosed on the loan. Now, the bank is not here to speak for that. And I don't have all the details about how many pieces of property that were left, but from what I understand, the bank owns like 2/3 of the remaining property. So if that is the case, and this bond never does come to, legally, because according to this letter, he states a legal case where a judge voted a denial from a town going after a bond when another identity came in and took over all those lots. And those lots are 2/3 of the lots. And what this is saying in the letter is that as soon as they took over those lots, they're the ones that are responsible for the completion. But in the meantime, we found out that Mr. Marioni transferred the roads, the clubhouse, and everything out the day before he got a loan to another identity.
I got a question on that.
So, and again, I just got this information on that portion of it today. What that means, it's just getting messier. I don't feel that the bond company should just back up and walk away. And so, before I continue, what was the question on that one?
When Marioni, he's a shifty one, and he's been, not his first time on this rodeo, he drew a deed to transfer all the roads and the responsibility to the neighborhood. That doesn't mean it's an effective deed. He did the same thing to the sewer department. He wrote a deed and transferred the pump station to us without our knowledge. So it'd be like me doing a bill of sale for, this this guy's car and selling it to you without him knowing. And now you don't become the owner of his car. And so even though he deeded this, I mean, any of you vote on this, and he can't just deed you the road and say it's your responsibility. Similarly, he couldn't deed, he was slick. He deeded the pump station lot to the town of Raynham. The only one that signs a deed is the seller, not the buyer, on quitclaim deeds. So he can write a deed and sell anything. So by virtue of his deed to you guys, doesn't put the responsibility on you, because you didn't say, hey, please deed me this unfinished road so we can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to finish it. So the deeds, I would say, is completely ineffective. It's, same as the deed to the pump station. So the successive owner, according to this guy, which, I mean, the lawyers, everyone has a different opinion, but the successive owner / developer of the subdivision may be the one that's responsible.
Okay, so with that said, we're not here, this is not the time or the place to talk about Mr. Marioni, how good or bad he was. We are here to fill you in, and we had asked all of you to come because this is not gonna be a short ordeal for you people. And hopefully, when we're through tonight, you understand we're on your side, and we will do everything possible, but the reins are gonna be in your hands, along with the other owner of 2/3 of the property. Whether they, from what this letter says, that they own the responsibility of the roads, whether that's true or not, that's gonna be something that's gonna have to be determined. And I think that's gonna be determined between the association's attorney and possibly that new owner's attorney. I don't know, and I don't know how we're gonna figure that one out. So at this point, like I said, the town of Raynham, I think that the bond should still be getting pursued. The town of Raynham is not gonna spend the money for legal fees to go after the past developer, the banks, bond companies. It's just too intense financially for us to get involved in a private identity that was supposed to be part of the town. Is there anything you're an attorney, you see all these documents for associations and stuff get filed and recorded, and is there anything that
Well, you've said it, this is different than a typical subdivision, because this was never destined to become a public road. It's really more of a driveway than a road, and that's all private property that the town really doesn't have much control over. I think the homeowners association and the bank need to get together and figure out who's going to do what, go after the bonding company, or put the money up to finish the roads, so that other lots can get sold and the place can get built out. But I certainly wouldn't let the bond company off the hook without a fight.
And with that, for the bond company being off the hook, the town of Raynham is listed as where the money would come. And we've had this discussion in the past, and we would basically be the referee. If we were able to get that money, we would take the money in as the town of Raynham, but then we would transfer it into maybe,
It's not clear that we could do that, so I wouldn't say that we're going to do that. I've talked to town council. I mean, the check would come made out to the town of Raynham. How it would proceed to fund the infrastructure remains to be determined.
so it remains to be determined, but trust me, as long as, I think, we're sitting on this board, and the people in town, we're not gonna be sitting on X amount of dollars for you and not finish the roads. That just doesn't make sense. I don't, and legally, Marilyn's been working with town council, so she has a lot of information that we don't have. And again, you know, I may say something that's not, or Marilyn has more information on, but I'll do an awful lot of hollering and screaming that that money does not stay with the town of Raynham. And I just can't see that ever happening. I really can't. You had something to add to?
Yeah, this lawyer's letter, I mean, he's gonna, of course, argue his point, whether it's right or wrong. He's gonna find some case that, you know, there might be 20 cases against him, but he'd find the one that maybe roughly agree and take out fractions of sentences to make it work. King Estates, the developer, was Marioni, and he up and left. We got the bond. Forge River Parkway, the Turners brothers were the subsequent owners of Forge River Parkway. Gordon Kirker originally put up the passbook bond, and the town ended up having to take the bond and finish the road. The subsequent developer didn't. So this may not be true. It may be true. If it is true, then that means the bank is the subsequent developer, but if it's not true, they put up a bond for performance, and this man failed to perform. So you'd think the bond would run with the land, but I can think of just 2 cases in Raynham right off the top of my head that the developer left, and one of them was Marioni on King Estates off King Street. And the other, like I said, was Gordon, Forge River Parkway, which is where Arts Bakery and all that stuff is now, behind Benny's. And in that case, it took a long fight, but the town ended up getting the bond and finishing the road. Not that we're in the business of building roads.
That's a public road, though.
They're all private until accepted. They're all private until accepted.
But that's.
King Estates still isn't even
But
accepted.
that's a road.
And there's nothing saying you guys couldn't put together, I would encourage it, but I mean, you could, any road can become a public road if it's voted for at town meeting. So, you know, I guess in this case, though, it's conditioned probably in our approval that it never can, so this is a slightly different animal. But just the bond-wise, if they put up a bond to perform, they may have to honor it as they've had to do on other developments.
So I don't want to mislead you or misguide you, and I think I'll just say one more time what I said before. The town of Raynham, in my opinion, will never own those roads. In that, I think you can go to the town and ask for the town to take acceptance of those roads, and planning board wouldn't support it. It was in our approval process, in our understanding from day one before a shovel was put in the ground that those roads would be maintained private. And so that's just.
And my point wasn't the roads, it was more if he put up a performance bond
Right.
to do this job.
Right, I just don't want anybody to get any misled information or.
Just one letter, they're gonna, of course, write a letter saying we're not gonna give it to you first time round
Yeah.
until they have somebody that proves them different.
So why you're here is because we do have this letter. This letter, and like I said, my first statement was, I feel that this should be, continue to be pursued. The town of Raynham is not gonna be doing the pursuing. I do feel that the bank has been very good in the past on other projects. They own 2/3 of the property. I think that you people have to get together and start coming up with some plans to figure out everybody's role and responsibility. And I think that should, get started now, sooner than later. Marilyn has been, I get all her emails when she sends them out for stuff that relates to us, and Marilyn has been very persistent on getting information from this bond company, and we thought this guy, skipped the country. And finally, we get this letter, so it's unfortunate that not even I'm working on something, well, I'm working on something, but then, 3 months goes by and 15 more emails and, no correspondence. That just goes to show you how hard it's gonna be. I think the good thing is for you homeowners, the bank is a big identity. They have lawyers. They deal with real estate every day. I would hope, especially being 2/3 the property owners. I would hope that they would maybe like, lead the charge. Because how are they gonna sell the remaining lots on an unfinished development? Point the finger at,
Well, there's another option, though, that may be able to be exercised, you might want to ask Mark. All the lots we released were released based on the security. Now we no longer have the security, can we rescind our lot releases?
it's a,
And that would
It's
give
a,
consent.
it is a question, again, you're going into a private development, and I'm not sure that what are we gonna take back? We're not gonna go in there and sell lots.
Well, no, we'd rescind the lot, if possible, we could rescind the lot release, and then no more building permits could be granted. And then, until more security was put up.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
know,
it's-
I'm not really sure. Okay,
I
so,
mean, you need
yes,
some leverage.
yeah, questions, sir?
My name is Bill Lasita. I am a homeowner at Berry Hill. And from what you just said, doesn't that put the homeowners in a harmful position if you do that?
No, all the non-built lots, we'd rescind the release,
Which means you would not allow any more permits,
right.
so we couldn't build any more homes there. So what you do is you put a
Until
restriction on
security
those
was put up.
the people who own 2/3 of the lots.
Right.
And then we don't move forward if that happens.
Well, I think it would give them incentive to put security up.
So
But it's
you-
just a thought. I mean, I'm looking at different avenues to possibly have leverage.
In other words, you would say by doing that, you're forcing the current
If
quote
this is the
developer
case.
to put up a surety bond.
Right. And that according to this attorney, it's their responsibility to do it. That may or may not be true.
And let me add one
But
thing.
if it is
Chris-
true,
Chris,
that would
myself,
be our
Burke,
leverage.
Russ, not everything that we may say is, we don't know. We're trying to help guide and help be a participant. So, like, I might, hopefully I say, everything correct. If I'm getting information today, or if we're making suggestions, don't hold that as concrete, because we're in this with you. We're trying to figure out what's the next step? How do we go forward? So, what he said, Marilyn might check with town council to see if that's something, an option, that as future discussions go on, okay, well, we have this, and yes, this has been done in other towns, and yes, it can be done. Will that hurt, or will that benefit the association? And if you people feel that it's gonna benefit the association, not us, if you feel it's gonna benefit, and we have the option, and we have the ability by law to do that, then maybe we would.
I mean,
But-
our goal is to see this
but-
thing get completed.
Exactly,
If
whatever
your
we,
interest is to
right,
not-
whatever we can do to get this thing done is exactly, and that's why I say, there isn't one person sitting here that won't go and do everything possible just to see that finished. It's just, I feel you're paying taxes, you're doing everything that all of us are doing in Raynham, and yet you're put in this position. And it just shouldn't be. It's unfortunate. We are definitely gonna be making changes for the future. I wish I was all for it. Like I said, I went to Easton. I just thought it was a beautiful thing. People in Raynham do get older and don't wanna leave. The kids are getting, trying to find houses in town, and it just, it gets harder and harder, so I thought this was fantastic. But, yes,
Jane Petonia, I'm owner at Berry Hill. I'm not sure if this is the place to ask the question, and if not, I'm sure that you'll let me know. If by some chance the bank decides this is not lucrative, and they decide, that they're done and they walk away, what happens then?
well, in my opinion, that will never happen. Not lucrative, because at this point, the bank is not taking any responsibility for lots. All they have is a financial gain.
Right.
They have property that they can sell as a member of the association, so they can continue to sell lots. and still not represent that they're gonna finish the roads. So why would you walk away from that? I can't ever see that happening. It just wouldn't, to me, it wouldn't make sense. I don't think that they would misrepresent to their people coming in to buy a house lot.
No.
I don't think they would misrepresent that, okay.
No, because that's
You,
disclosure, and I
right,
can't imagine
right.
that they would do
You
that.
may be, you can buy this house, but you may and you will become responsible for finishing the road in front of your house.
Right.
So who's gonna buy that? You know, like you said, do you wanna stop the development? No, because you want people to get in there, you want the thing to get finished. But how do you know, how does that work? So
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, but
Yeah.
again, we can, these things can be discussed with the bank and, yes, Burke.
Facts are a little different, but similar. I have seen condominiums that didn't get built because of a downturn in the economy. And the homeowners association has ended up with the development rights to finish it. And the homeowners association has gotten together and built and at a profit, the more condos and finished the project.
Now,
So it can be done.
question that I have though, because that did happen, and I did have a condo 100 years ago, and the developer went, this was the first bad economy in the 80s, late 80s. It was a ski place, beautiful place, going in, buying it, and all of a sudden, the developer went bankrupt, and we have 2 buildings with foundations in and just capped. And they're rotten and they're falling apart, and the association did come in, we did own those because they were left. We basically stripped them, bulldozed them, and it's just left them to never be developed again. So we had the right. But here, if the bank ever decided to forfeit their rights to those deeds, they're individual lots. They're not, it's not like
It's different than an individual condominium unit?
No, they're separate landowners.
yeah,
They own the common areas together.
but not the
But
individual
the
piece of
separate
property.
land is a
There's
separate deeded, individually owned parcel. The thing that's weird here, which is, to me, unless all of you agreed to have Marioni give you the responsibility of the roads, which I doubt, he actually wrote a deed, which to me is probably not worth the paper it's written on, to deed the responsibility of these people, you know?
And
Be like
again-
my neighbor deeding me the rights to mow,
And
you
if
know, have
that's
him
the
mow his lawn the
case,
rest of my
and
life.
if that is the case, if that's the case, and this is, what this lawyer is pointing out, then unwillingly, the bank is taking the responsibility of finishing the roads. And again, I don't think you people want to be fighting with your other 2/3 land owners, the bank, and I don't think the bank wants to be fighting with you, so I think, we all have to figure out what's gonna be the best thing to get this thing done. I feel I wouldn't want to be going to a retirement community. None of yous look like you're at retirement age. But I wouldn't want to be at that age with the stock market being the way it is, and now you have a development, a house that you can't sell.
We don't wanna be there.
I mean, that's brutal. I can't imagine. Chris, Burke.
I think that the homeowners in the bank need to get together and hire an attorney. Whatever deal you and the bank make as to who pays what. The bond is in the name of the town, so I think technically the attorney is gonna be working for the town at $1 an hour or something, and then you and the bank are really gonna be paying the attorney. The attorney would technically be representing the town, and you need to go argue with the bond company. Hopefully you win. That at least gets the money to the town. And as Dan has said, we certainly want to try to get it to you to finish those roads. And how we go about getting the town to take over, putting in roads, there aren't really roads, driveways on private property is a question. But, again, let's get the money first, then we'll figure out where to go from there.
Vince, did you get a copy of this?
I just got it, yes.
Okay, because maybe we should see if you could do a rebuttal to this on your
I would
opinion
just-
on if this is any good.
I would just say one thing, well, 2 things. One,
Can you state your name
Sure,
for the
Vince-
record?
Vince Craig, again.
And I think, you're the only one with a suit and tie on, so I think you're probably the only one people really want to listen to, so can you come up? Can you just, you
He doesn't
can
wanna
sit, no, I know, you don't really
Right.
want to, but can you just
No,
sit,
sure.
turn that chair, stand at the podium or whatever, just,
Yeah. Just two things. You brought up the point that I was gonna raise before, that it's, the town is the obligee, and there's no private right of action from the homeowners or the bank or anyone to sue the bond company. So you indicated that the town would be willing to somehow,
I didn't, actually,
or the possibilities
I
there.
don't speak for the town, but I would certainly hope that the town would.
Okay. Again, I didn't have this letter to now, but by coincidence, I did just a day or so ago see the Foxgate case. That's from December of 2011. Just a couple of points I'd say that distinguish it, just going from memory. One, obviously, this is a land court case, not an appeals court case, so whether, whether it's binding here is debatable. But in that case, the developer, the banks foreclosed, a private entity or private development company bought it, and they bought the entire property. They bought everything, and there had been no development there, nothing had been built. I think maybe a road or two had started to be constructed.
That's a little bit different.
so
it's
no
different.
houses were put
There were
up or
zero
anything?
houses, according to the case, the facts in the case, it was, so like, they're saying that entity is responsible because it was, nothing had been developed.
I read the case as well, but the point they were trying to make, and the suit was about forcing the town to collect the bond. The Gates was attempting to force
Writ of
the town to
mandamus.
go after the bond,
Right.
and the court says, no, you don't have to do that. It's your responsibility to put up the funding to replace that bond.
but, so the bond was
That's
still
the
pursued,
case.
but was pursued from a different party, not the town?
I don't think so.
No,
No,
it
that's
was,
a
the
totally-
town was defending the fact that the Gates, in this case, I think it was Gates LLC, was saying, we're not gonna put up any bond money, you have to go after the bond from the
I
disclosed.
see.
You have to go get it, and the town said, no, we don't.
That's a
Right.
totally
You have-
different
Yeah,
case.
I know.
This letter's about
I
that,
know.
because what, just for instance, is a lot of developments, say First Street in Bridgewater, a little industrial park. That was built, the road's annihilated, it's down where Graziano's is and all like that, the tire place. And that bond isn't adequate to finish the road. So the town doesn't have any obligation to call that bond. So that's what this case was then. So all it was saying was you can't force the town to call the bond. It doesn't say the town can't call the bond. It says you can't force them
And the
to.
town
So
can't
if they have an
call it.
agreement between the town and Berry Hill, you'd think that we would still be able to call this bond. So that's what I meant about
It's just-
selectively picking cases that
Right.
speak to the way you want without giving you the real meat and potatoes of what the thing really says.
Right, exactly. And I think the problem is, the bottom line is, this is gonna be an expense that the town does not want to incur. And it's just, we need to have the association involved, we need to have all members involved. We're, like I said, we're willing to, do everything possible that we can do, and that's include have, meetings here. I will come at any time. And I think that's gonna be the first thing, is getting with the bank, and I hate to say the bank, but getting with the bank owns 2/3 of the properties, remaining balance. So they're controlling interest of the association as far as I'm concerned. But they're just, we have to figure out how to go forward, because if we keep saying, okay, it's not our responsibility, and we can just say, we're done. And maybe that's what a town should do, but at this point, myself as chairman of the planning board, I'm not saying that. I don't feel that would be a very nice thing to do. Chris was first.
Just, I don't know if this was what Burke was getting at, but I think it may have been that, the town would be willing at no cost to us, if you guys wanted to pursue this bond, on our behalf. We'd be fine with that, but we're not gonna go spend a bunch of money to pursue it.
Correct.
Well, what I said was I would hope that the town would do that. The planning board is not the ones who decide who the town should hire for attorneys and how much money they should spend. That would be the selectmen. And you can go to the selectmen and say, hey, we'd really like you guys to spend $100,000 going after this bonding company, and if you don't do it, we won't vote for you next time. And, you know, see where you get. But, I mean, my guess is they're not going to approve that, especially in the economy today. So it's going to be up to you and the bank. But I think the town is willing to at least put their names on the court papers.
Right. Yes, Marilyn?
I'd just like to point out that the town has already expended a considerable amount of its resources to pursue the bond. I mean, this has been going on for 17 months. And 17 months ago, we asked never mind the issue we tried to deal with in terms of the over 55 issue. That took a considerable amount of time. But ever since, I have been actively engaged with town council as every step of the way. And the other day, we spent almost 3 hours on this of his time. So we have been expending town resources with the hope that the bond company would live up to the obligation, just like they did with King's Estate. Same bond company and slightly different circumstances, but we hope that they would. But
It almost seems disingenuous of the bond company if they, my understanding, they've been stringing you along, asking for information, sending out contractors.
yes, they did.
And where they're just gonna write a legal opinion that it just doesn't seem like they were acting in good faith.
So at this point, yes, sir, you had another question?
Yeah, I do. It'd be typical for when Mr. Marioni or his company was asking for a bond, to the bonding company, that they would require a personal guarantee. Do we know if that was taken by the bond company?
I do not know.
I had asked Maureen a couple of years ago, and I saw my notes the other day, and I think I asked you, and you said that either he didn't, or there was no money in the account or something like that. So I think the answer is generally no.
In the review accounts?
Or something. I remember asking you something.
Well, I think
The
what
person
he's
asked-
asking though, when Mr. Marioni went
Right.
to the bond company, if he put up a personal guarantee, being a developer or past developer, when you put up personal guarantees, usually you make sure you don't own anything. It's not a good thing, you know. Personal guarantees are about as, they're only good for honest people. People that have been out of business before, and they know, if they went through bankruptcy before, they know what to do the second time around. It's people like us that, stick to things and make sure that we see them through. So, I'm sure his 55 and older account, I'm sure that's still secure somewhere. Yes.
I want to mention the second issue they bring up about how the timeliness of calling the project in default. It doesn't hold water because it was 2010, but his project had 4 years after the binder, and that would have taken it to 2010. And in fact, we were still talking to Mr. Marioni in 2008 into 2009. It wasn't until 2009 that we began to see that this was going to be a problem. And we actually checked with the bond company's agent, the agent that sold the bonds to Mr. Marioni, and he indicated to us, and we have the emails
I
saying
saw
the
it.
bonds never expire.
Until the town uses
Exactly.
it. I read that.
Exactly.
So I don't know if that would hold up in court because it was the agent, not the bond company, but clearly we made every effort to make sure that they were still protecting the infrastructure costs as long as they could. So
And it
again,
saves
I think the
us.
town went above and beyond in terms of trying to collect on this bond. And at this point, I agree with you. I think there needs to be discussions, not necessarily at planning board meetings, but something in such a way that the banks and the homeowners association and the town can work together and see if there's a solution to this. Because it clearly isn't going to go the way we thought it would in terms of the town taking a lead.
And we're not looking to fight with the bank, we're not looking to fight with, anybody. It's just, we want, I think, Chris and Rick and Ross, we want the roads to be done. That's, we don't oversee the construction of it, we oversee the process, the plans. And so I think that's why I was hoping when I had asked Marilyn to invite everybody in, that we, had good news that, okay, they're gonna pay, now it's up to, how we're gonna process the money, who's gonna be in charge, who's gonna do it. But unfortunately, we have this information for you instead, that it's time, I think, that everybody starts, getting together. How you're gonna go about that, I'd be glad to, meet until that process gets figured out, because this is yes, I don't think we should be meeting at the planning board office for the next 6 months or 18 months or 2 years, however long it's gonna take, but I do feel that Maryland has very important information, members of the board have very important information, you have very important information, being representative of the bank. I think let's get it figured out, let's get a plan, let's get, a direction. So all you people go home and you're not just, what are we doing? Once that plan and direction gets established and you have the information needed, then I think, okay, is the clubhouse done?
Yes.
Perfect place to meet. You meet at the clubhouse. I'll even volunteer to, represent the planning board to, listen as part of the planning board as a member and, and relay information back to Marilyn or, Marilyn's part-time. She's, it's not like, we don't want to spend any more time on it. It's just, there's, with all the cuts that we've made, I think she only has 19 hours or something like that. And yes, ma'am.
Yes, you want to meet with us, but I don't even know your name, and I don't think a lot of us even know your name.
Hi, Paul. My nameplate. Where's my nameplate?
Yes.
Wow. My name is Dan Andrade. This is Chris Gallagher. He's the clerk of the board. Burke Fountain, he's the vice chairman. And Russ Driscoll is the newest member of the board. And we have Henry Ellis, who's not here tonight. We have all been, I live right across from Johnson's Pond. I grew up there. I went to, this building was my first grade and second grade, I think it was. And, the only reason why you sit on these boards is because you want, you hear all kinds of things, you do things, so you must be getting something out of it. Well, Raynham's been very good to me. I was in construction for 25 years. We all had businesses and still do. And you do. You like to give back. So, because I could be home eating right now or swimming or something. I'm not. So I guess, is there anything else? Anything else we can add? I'm not really sure how we should leave. This. I think
Could after the parties meet at the next homeowners meeting, we then contact your office if necessary and appropriate for another hearing before you, whether it's to state our intentions about pursuing pursuing that, and then with the selectmen if necessary.
Exactly. Now, when's your homeowners association meeting though?
I don't know if
I
you
would
have one
encourage you
scheduled.
call a special meeting because we just had one a week ago.
Yeah, I would too, because those usually, I don't know, but
I'm sure that's would happen.
As long as they're not on vacation.
yeah. So I think now, are all of the owners here?
80% of us are here.
Okay. So it's I think that would be very important to. And again, you look like the most important guy here, so maybe so.
Well, somebody needs to
point at me
respond.
for
to
The homeowners are actually.
Right. Well, I think Burke said somebody needs to respond to the letter, which is, I think, should be addressed at that meeting. Should be the very first thing.
Sure.
Okay, you guys can go back and forth, but let's figure out let's get something back. And again, town council has a lot of information, Maryland has a lot of information. Let's not waste a lot of time digging up information that somebody already has. And I'm offering up Maryland's information without asking Maryland, but it is, town, if we have the information, there should be no reason why we can't hand it over and give you what you're looking for to make this, hopefully go quicker and you're not doing a lot of research. Yes, Marilyn.
A lot of research still needs to be done.
No, I understand that, but past, you know what I mean, past stuff. If, let's try to get this resolved and not spend 6 months figuring out what was done yesterday. That's just annoying. All right, any other questions? Welcome to Raynham.
Hope we've kept it civil.
What's that?
We'll need you as a referee for the next homeowners meeting.
Can I wear shorts?
Yeah, you can wear shorts.
All right. Okay, so, now, I can be contacted through Maureen. If you have any information, or if you're looking to send something, or, you know, when you're gonna have your meeting, you can just let Maureen know, and she has all my information, my email address. Once I get into, you know, your first meeting, I'll give you all my information. So, again, I don't live there yet, so, you know, I'll do as much as I can for you, and, as the town representative, and, all right? All right.
Thank you.
Good luck, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't know your name.
No.
I'm just new to Raynham, and I only have one complaint so far about Raynham.
Oh, yeah?
You don't welcome people here at all with no welcoming information on businesses and that kind of thing. You should have a packet.
You know, it's funny you say that. Betty Thompson, years ago, Betty Thompson, she's a longtime Raynham, and I even think Chris's mother, they used to do Welcome to Raynham. They used to do baskets, because when we originally came
Well,
to
a
Raynham.
basket would be expensive, but I mean, local businesses,
Yeah,
etc., that type of thing. I did get a free cookbook from Bernie and Phil's, though.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I didn't go to this school, but I went to South School.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this school
well-
was filled up at the time.
Yeah, South School is,
I went to school with that guy.
you went to school with him.
We only moved from Locust Street to a mile down the road, you know?
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner, yeah. We got some things going on. Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
But-
you know, and just from this meeting, I think it's very organized.
Yeah.
We have, you know, and why I say, you know, show a hand, raise the hands, because we, even something not this bad, we have, you know, things, it gets nasty sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we just want you to know that it's, you know,
No, I
we'll do
mean,
whatever we can to help out.
yeah,
That guy was a sneaky son.
yeah, and the thing,
Last time they broke his legs and
really,
You're on,
and the thing is this.
we gotta
moved.
watch what we say.
We know, but we moved there because we went to the eastern places, and they were gorgeous. I mean, and the quality of this home was very, very good.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of followed it through and stuff like that, and whatever, it was the timing,
I know, unfortunately.
you know? Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask everybody to, if you can take your conversations out in the hallway, I gotta finish my meeting. Thank you for coming. And good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
that was under my minutes. That's the missing bill you were asking about.
Oh, it was under your,
I just went through the minutes and I said, how come there's white in the holes? It's supposed to be all holes.
okay.
Make a motion that we waive the reading and approve the minutes of June 7, 2012, June 21, 2012, and July 19, 2012.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Any revisions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's get through this quick here. We have Aspen Hollow update.
I would want to say, Chris probably give you more between than I can. I understand Mr. Perrin took care of the sewer issues.
Yeah, that was gonna be the big deal breaker. It took a whole day and a half to do the repairs I wanted. I mean,
And
Now, I guess I have just one question. We called the bond. I don't understand how that's gonna work. This guy's still over there doing work, and we called the bond, and I took a ride over there tonight, and I see there's a hydro seeder at the end.
yeah, his hope is that we will rescind our calling the bond if he completes the work.
He hasn't picked up his default notice. I got it back in the mail today.
Yeah, that's
the
his
certified
attempt,
notice.
and he, I guess,
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Got started and give him a push 'cause he needed it.
and he did need it because they're not gonna let the credit get ruined on that, calling a bond on a project of that magnitude. These guys have been around a long time, they've done a lot of larger jobs and they're,
That's true, when he applies for the next one in
Yeah,
a
it's-
couple of years,
yeah.
have you ever had your bond?
Well,
come
and
in?
it's a
you're
cash,
done.
it's a
Yeah,
cash
yeah,
bond, too,
you're
which is
done,
even more
extra
crazy.
credit to stop from.
All right, so I guess,
The
you know,
question I have for you is
yes.
that he's asked John Schmidt to go out next week's meeting out there. We do have enough money to cover his meeting, I believe, Maureen, if we hold on to the $500 that we asked for after we call the project into fall. So,
Yeah,
I-
if he's done some work, we ought to get some money to him so we can pay the people. who-
Well, he's
Absolutely not.
He owes me a lot of money.
Absolutely, in my opinion, we started the process, we called the bond, he's not getting a penny. He is
He's
definitely,
actually owes me a bit because I supplied a lot of the materials to get the job done. And we were out there helping out my guys, and a lot of the, I don't know, he had trouble getting some of the stuff, and I had a lot of stuff in stock, so I just wanted to get the job done. And so I made a list of.
we have this on tape here.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
awesome.
he had a lot of supplies. I gave him sewer-related manhole covers, infrariser rings, a lot of materials. And
What I would-
So I made a complete list and gave it to him.
No,
And
that's-
he's gonna order it and replace everything. Either that, or I'm just gonna, I'd rather just take the replacement parts, but if not, I'll just bill him.
Well, and with that, again, we called the bond, we started the process. I would be more than willing for any contractor to give a bill.
And his subs.
Any of the subs can contact Maureen, Marilyn, and say, this is my portion. I understand that the money is in the bank account. Am I gonna get paid? And they can sit until the job's done. Because I don't,
You don't wanna handle-
we called the bond, it's in the process, I'll wait and I'll give him the time that it takes the bond. As soon as that bond money is ready to grab, and if that road ain't done, I'm gonna put in for grabbing it.
the only question I had was not about bond money, it was about the money, the review fee.
No, I know, I'm getting
So
to,
I'm
I'm
looking for
answering.
some
I'm
feedback.
getting there.
Okay.
The review fee, if there's review fee money in the account, then yes, have Judith Nitsch go in. But I would like to be present, and I would like Chris to be also notified.
Okay, all right.
If anybody, if you guys all right with that?
I'd like to do that if I could.
So notify, let the planning board know when he's gonna be there. And I would just, and I don't plan to say anything, I just wanna hear from my own ears and see, and, you know, you can let us know what was done, and, you know, again, it's not our goal to get involved, it's our goal to have these things done. And he's
Yeah, I
just,
mean, everything was done to our
crazy.
satisfaction. They had the one last manhole on the end, and I'm pretty sure that's done. I just I didn't go out and
Well, I see a
inspect
couple of
that.
low spots that was spray painted off, looks like one area they dug up and another one that.
It was the most poorly constructed cul-de-sac. So it happens when you have
One
a,
day, and he was right on that first one, right at the entrance.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Friday afternoon.
That one
Yeah,
there.
because I was out there last Friday afternoon.
There,
Yeah.
that you explain what you expect in terms of the mailboxes. He's put up the post, there's no mailboxes on this one post. So he's telling the homeowners to go ahead and put their mailboxes on there, but I don't think that's what you had in mind when you called for a,
All my years of doing subdivisions and putting mailbox posts and putting stuff in the planning board plan, the post office doesn't care what we put, so it's entirely up to them.
okay, I just wasn't sure what you
Yeah.
expected.
Sometimes they have us, like I've had some developments where the post office made us do that, and other developments where it's all individual mailbox, and it's like the same post office, you know? But
And I'll
it's,
just-
Well, I want to
I'll-
remove those mailboxes that are in front of the fence, it's sitting in buckets.
We will address that,
No.
because that was something that came up a year ago.
Yeah, okay,
And
all right.
we'll
So if you
address
could
that,
just-
and we'll look at it, because again, it's our goal to get everything done, so those people can live in their
And the
house.
trees, the trees issue too.
Exactly. And they're already, you know, I see the hybrid cedar there, but I don't see any trees, so. Just email all the members of the board when the meeting's gonna be, and then if those can, you know, show up, then show up. Okay, we're not sure, these plans were submitted for Bella Estates or aren't submitted?
They were left on my desk for
Yeah,
Bella
that was, I
Estates.
actually took what happened, it was a friend of mine's son was walking out the door, real good kid, he's in college, doing really well, and I got talking to him, and he was here with some, and I said, why are you walking away with the plans? He says, well, to drop them off in Maureen, so I said, well, I'll put them in the
Aren't
office
you a
and leave a
good
note.
guy?
Oh, good kid,
I
real
talked
good
to
kid.
him I talked to him earlier on the phone.
He's a
He said
co-op.
the only reason he provided the plans, he realizes you signed the plan, and he was just gonna come back and give us extra plans apparently, and sort of have a conversation that he said he was gonna have last time. Remember, he said just gonna give you a little
Oh,
more
because I want to let
information.
him talk new information, because what he was in front of us for was something that was previously
Right.
discussed.
So,
Okay,
but
so,
It's just, it's
Do
for our
we need
information.
those plans then, to be signed, or we just?
I don't
just
think
file
so. I
copies?
mean, I don't, whatever you
Okay.
require normally, but.
put them in
he
the
was
file,
just
and then
We already signed it.
giving
Yeah,
us
we
extra
did.
information.
We don't,
But-
usually says assign minutes done, any correspondence,
we don't sign all paper copies, right?
no
No.
correspondence. This bill is gonna get,
One
It's
outside.
Aspen Hollow.
oh, this is
That's
still not,
The one you questioned? Was
no,
it
I
the-
signed the one I questioned.
I
This is
reprinted
another
it.
one.
It's the same amount, though.
Is that the same, we've already signed that?
I don't know if you signed it
We
because I
didn't,
didn't,
I'm
I
the
didn't
only
get it
one,
back.
I'm the only one that signed that one, because I didn't pass that one out,
Can I
because,
see that pen for a minute?
is that yours?
Yeah.
Throw that thing out. Yeah, I was the only one that signed that other one, because I didn't pass it out, because then after, once I saw it, I realized, what it was, and I just wanted to hold it until, we had something figured out, a discussion.
Can I point out the veterans thing and throw a check for that?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, while we're here, if anyone's watching, if you notice the side of the town hall, as you go to the entrance, there's a construction project going on. It's Town of Raynham Veterans Memorial. We've had a lot of people helping out on it. The Bamilla boys, GB Sons, have done all the site work. We've had Dave Turner from Bridgewater doing a lot of the concrete work. We've had Joe Aruda put several $1,000s in gravel. Had Danny Andrade built a absolutely gorgeous sign that's gonna be uplit. But we're still looking for funds. We're selling bricks, taking donations either through myself at the sewer department, or you could call the selectman's office with Randy, and Debbie, the secretary, has the brick applications. But I just wanna continually throw it out there till I raise another 30, 40 grand I'm gonna need to finish the project. Any help would be appreciated. Thank you, public.
Okay, I think I closed the meeting prior to. So, I will see everybody back August 16th. If there's anything, nothing else, enjoy the summer, the rest of the warm weather. Meeting's adjourned. You told me she has to go at 8 o'clock.
Excellent.